into practice. So we would like to support this. For example, we will be still to be discussed, but we would like to support the Malawi delegation to go and support the South Sudan delegation on the collaboration between the school, Ministry of Education, and the police, as we have seen that in this event in Malawi, we have the South Sudan delegation were amazed by how this collaboration has been able to improve the safer school initiative. So it's the country support that we would like to continue to support. And again, there is something that has been has come up very strongly in the disability inclusive learning experience in Kenya, where the Kenya Institute for Special Education could also have a collaboration with the Ministry of Education in Lesotho to train teachers in Lesotho virtually in disability inclusive education. So we are supporting this bilateral exchange and collaboration. Next slide, please. Capacity enhancement. We would like, again, to build on the community of practice that had been set up in teacher professional development, for example, and really make sure that these countries that want to move to learn from each other have a platform to exchange, but also have an opportunity to share. And we are still very much open to the different modalities, how we can improve. And particularly, we have proposed few actually modalities for the ECE, but also for gender equity through a series related to gender responsive education sector planning. But really much, again, we need your engagement for that. But also, we would like to add some themes here that could be relevant in your field. We have heard about EMIS digitalization as well. We would like to, we have seen in the first phase that peer review mechanism has been amazingly received. And we would like to make sure that we learn from those peer review system, and why not actually applying the same model in other thematic, for example. Direct support to country, again, if we feel that we need some expertise on top of maybe the one that are in this community, we can also support in identifying any organization that can come externally and can support some precise area. Next slide, please. Then mobilization and uptake of knowledge. So we would like to support strategic planning in the 4 areas that Marianne has talked about. Country action plan development. We have room, for example, to support some of you that would like to move ahead with, for example, disability inclusive education. We would like to hear from you whether you would need some expertise to move ahead with this and have a clear roadmap for the next few years. We would like to support you, and we have planned for that. We would like to continue to support developing guidance, norm and standards, for example, in the EMIS field, so that we can again move ahead with quality system, information system, and try to make sure that what we are doing, what the initiative that we are supporting, we can document them, and we can see whether it has an impact on the longer term, not only a one-way, a one-shot, or a workshop that will actually just last 2 days, and then we're not sure about what's happening next, but more like see and hear from you whether it has triggered some new development. Next slide, please. And we would like to continue also to support research to generate some evidence in your countries. Again, that could be of help to other countries. We have, for example, one that is planned on the cost implication of the switch from special education to inclusive education. That's something that we would like to support this year, but also we have one on the EMIS migration. For example, we also would like to hear from you what actually you would need in order to implement your country partnership compact that will actually help you. It could be research, but it could be also assessment, analysis on we know that GPE processes are very much looking at gender equality analysis. We have also expertise to support you, and we would like to support a number of countries on this, but also we would like to amplify any research that you have uh, done yourself. We have heard about Somalia, who has done an ECE research, and we would like to find some space to share with the others. So really much again, um, we have a plan for small grants for research, but again, we need to hear from you on which topic, what are the modality, what is the timeline. Next slide, please. And then for concrete pieces, I would like to hand over to Gabrielle.
Many thanks, Helen. So we would like to share a tentative timeline of activities for the year by thematic area. As you can see, there are quite a number of programs planned, and so I'll just highlight a couple of them. To start, we'll be having a teacher professional development analysis in a couple of weeks. This is based on a TPD report on teaching an emergency situation in several of the hub countries. Under the thematic area of equality and inclusion, we'll have capacity enhancement sessions on gender responsive education throughout the year. Also, it should be mentioned that for some of the longer activities, such as this one, the frequency of these may range from once a month, or maybe once every other month, or maybe once a quarter. And so as these activities approach, we will be more clear about the interval in which the activity will happen. The next slide shows plan activities for number one, early childhood education, in which a session on the development of an ECE scalability framework is planned from July to December. For number two, in terms of like activities regarding educational management information systems, there are peer reviews of EMIS systems planned from quarter two to quarter four. And finally, we will have also general programs. Helen had just mentioned the small grants, and so that's planned for June and July. And so we will share this timeline with all of you. And if you have any questions related to any of these activities, the Hub team will be glad to address them towards the end of the presentation. So in terms of KIX knowledge management platforms, there are a couple different areas in which you can access and engage with KIX content. So number one would be ICBA's website. So that's icba.unesco.org. And so here you'll have information on all of you, so some of the focal points. And then we recently developed country pages, and this includes information on educational outcomes, as well as provides a literature review on the KIX thematic areas that we have previously described. Somewhere else where you can find more KIX content is the gpekix.org website. And so they have a very useful library that has a lot of useful content. And so you can find past newsletters. So once a quarter, we release a newsletter that provides a summary of some of our activities. And so you can find those newsletters on the library. You can also find, Jaji had mentioned earlier, EMIS peer review policy briefs for Lesotho and I believe Zimbabwe. And then there are also national policy dialogue reports in which we have submitted to the library. A new feature of the gpekix.org website are country pages. And so this includes past activities from the hub, as well as information on global grantees. And also includes a section where you can see events from the KIX 19 hub, as well as other hubs. And then finally, in terms of social media, we're very active on Twitter. And so that's where you can find the latest updates on our activities, as well as photos from our various events. And I really want to stress this next part in terms of like how you can get involved. As Marianne mentioned in the beginning of the session, that you are really the hub. And so there are a couple of different ways to get involved. One is to contribute blogs and news articles on gpkix.org. And so, as colleagues had mentioned earlier, we've been very grateful to have colleagues such as Fumizela, Ms. Fumizela from Eswatini, write blogs on their experiences from the KIX symposium that happened last year. Another way to get involved is to submit content. It could be policy briefs. It could be a call to action to the library on GP KIX. So last year there was a national policy dialogue on Zambia, has been described by my colleagues. And so we have the call to action submitted on the gpekix.org website. And so if you're active on social media, please, we ask that if it's related to KIX activities, you tag us on Twitter. Our username is at KIXAfrica19Hub. And then if on Facebook, you can tag either ICBA or UNICEF or the African Union. And so we also are very grateful for your continuous engagement on WhatsApp, and we ask that you continue to engage on there. Thank you. And with that, I'll hand it over to Victoria.
Thank you so much, colleagues. This was really, really awesome and well done. At least we've tried to catch up a little bit on the time, but I know that there are many questions that are coming up, but thanks so much again for your presentations. I also want to recognize the presence of our IDRC focal point for the KIX Africa 21 Hub, who has joined us. Hamidou, you are welcome very, very much. In the time that we have, allow me to just invite the Selected Region Advisory technical team. We have colleagues from ADARE, and we have also DVOB. So I just wanted to invite them to give their thoughts first, and then we'll be able to progress depending on the time that we have. And I also want to alert you that Marianne is posting in the chat room the different links and social media handles just for you to be engaged with the KIX Africa 19 Hub. So for now, let me invite, I think, Shem Bodo to come in first regarding your thoughts concerning the activities that we have presented to you for 2024. Do you see any connection in terms of what we intend to do and what you're also noticing at country level? What else can we do better, and how best can we make sure that our activities have got the visibility at country level, and how best can we engage the countries? Over to you, Shem.
Thank you, Victoria. I think first, just to commend the KIX Africa 19 Hub Consortium, both the leadership and the team, for the great work that you have done in 2023 in the member countries, and of course working with the focal points, some of whom are here, and now continue to 2024. And of course, we cannot forget through IDRC, led by Joy, and of course, it's good to see Hamidou also has joined. Just a quick one on the 2023. I think a lot of work took place in 2023 when we look at the results that have been presented. I think what I like most is the insistence and the focus on country ownership of this initiative, because I think there's need to think about sustainability beyond 2027 when the project probably ends. I think I also appreciate the aspect of experiential learning, as captured, and of course the peer learning experience, which we have gone through before as ADARE, as Jaji knows. Perhaps what would have been also great, especially for the 2023 reporting, probably looking at also highlighting in the presentation, the outcomes that were expected, because somehow probably this is something I failed to see, so that we can have a clear sight established between the results of the activities presented and the extent to which I think the two goals that were highlighted initially were achieved. And perhaps also because this is also a learning process, maybe some challenges encountered along the way, and maybe some of the lessons that could have been learned would have been beneficial to share with participants, so that it can also help us, even as supporting partners, to adjust our own interventions so that we don't necessarily, do the same thing, and maybe use your experience to do it better. Now, turning to 2024, it looks like the activity areas that have been presented, at least on the matrix, are well aligned, and they talk to the goals that have been expressed in the slides. Clearly, there's strong collaboration among the consortium members. If you look at the activities as distributed, and also the alignment of the themes as expressed earlier by Marianne. And we can see the footprint of the 2023 performance in the 2024 plan. I mean, you can see the issue of strengthening ownership still ongoing, the cross-country learning also still embedded in there, the experiential visits. So when you really drill down to the activities, you can see that there's continuity in terms of improving or enhancing what took place in 2023 and going into 2024 and probably beyond. And also, it is great to hear that you will perhaps go beyond just conducting the Emmys peer reviews in 2023, and therefore now work with the countries that were reviewed to have a kind of roadmap or plan that can help address the gaps that were identified in the peer reviews towards the provision of quality education statistics, because I think that is the ultimate goal in terms of the peer reviews. Some few proposals to enrich the plan from my end. First, I think participants probably would have greatly benefited from a slide that captures the immediate and perhaps short-term outcomes that are expected in 2024. This could probably have come immediately after the slide with the goals, or even on the same slide. I think there were some 4 slides around knowledge generation and all that. Maybe you could review those and reflect some of those immediate and short-term outcomes, because it helps to see the pathway towards the goals. The same goes for the activity dashboard. Well presented, looks great. Perhaps maybe some of the outputs could have been reflected in that presentation so as to give a sense of what we're expecting in 2024. Particularly, I saw 2 activities under the data systems or Emmys thematic area. I think they are the activities covering the period April to December. They appear to me to be similar. Maybe some tweaking would be necessary to bring out the difference between those 2 activities. At the same time, as we are alive to the fact that 2024 is the year of education, just launched the other day in Addis. I don't know to what extent the activities are aligned to the year of education. So I was imagining that it would have been worthwhile to refer somewhere to the year of education or to one or some of the 8 strategic outcome areas in the roadmap for the year of education, so that the hub can leverage the momentum of this year, Now, these are the comments. I had the privilege of looking at the detailed matrix of outcomes or results, as well as the outputs and the detailed activities of the plan beyond what participants have seen. But we can say, and I think Gabriel alluded to this when he was presenting the matrix, it is a very ambitious work plan. When you look at the number of activities under each outcome area, you can see that, and when you think around the tasks that are contained in some of those activities, organizing conferences, workshops, the national policy dialogues, the talk shows, the knowledge mobilization, this requires a lot of planning time. And perhaps you may need to maybe look at the activities, the detailed activities, and maybe either consolidate some or think about some of them going beyond 2024, you know, to maybe next year, 2025. So I think that's really an observation that it looks very ambitious, but of course, perhaps you do have the capacity, you know, the resources, especially staff and all that, but it looks very ambitious for 1 year. Secondly, I think we could tighten some of the outcome areas, some of the results, so that they're a bit more smart. I think including the way they are expressed. There's need for a bit of specificities with respect to, say, number of countries to be covered, the member countries to be covered or supported, the tools and resources to be produced or enhanced. Because this can then help to justify the budget allocation or the budget distribution. Because it would appear that there are some of the activities that will need more or even less allocation compared to others. When you look at activity around the production of visibility materials for joint hub activities, you're now looking at, you know, the 2 hubs and not 1. And you can see from the detailed matrix that it's about $2,000 only. And I would imagine maybe that would need more. At the same time, the section on monitoring, evaluation, and learning, I feel that could be under budgeted. Maybe there's need to look at it. Yet this is a very critical function. So something to look at in terms of the budgetary allocation, the distribution. Just a small observation, I think there's need for some clear outputs as articulated for the outcome result number 4. This is in terms of national efforts on knowledge mobilization that is being supported. It's a very important element, and I think it's good to have clarity on what you expect when you implement some of the, you know, the many activities are there. So these are just some of the few observations that I can make and share on this platform. Thank you so much. Back to you, Victoria.
Thank you so much, Shem. I've been taking notes. We truly appreciate the feedback and the time for you to be able to go through the detailed work plan for 2024 and also being able to give us these valuable comments. Thank you very, very much. In the interest of time, allow me to proceed and invite our other colleague from VVOB, Anna, for your perspectives. Over to you. And again, we welcome all of those that have joined us today for this session. Thank you very much. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Thank you. I'd like to echo the sentiments from Shem and congratulate the team. I think it's been great to see how the hub has grown and also, you know, the kinds of initiatives that you have undertaken in 2023. It was very exciting. And I must say the component on research, on localization of research is something that we have seen that has really gotten a lot of traction and been appreciated by both local researchers who don't usually have these opportunities, but also local organizations, because they're able to see and to be more involved in these research initiatives. And so it's more grounded, it's more useful to them. So very, very well done for that. I was wondering though, and that's one thing that I have been reflecting on, I think a lot of sharing, there's a lot of exchanging, and there's a lot of peer you know, exposure. And I'm wondering if there could be a way of looking at the financial implications of certain policy measures. So looking more at costing of implementation of certain approaches. For example, it would be nice for, you know, a focal point person to have a clear view of the costing of, you know, for teacher professional development in a certain country where they've had success in maybe rolling out something nationally. What does it mean for them? What could it mean for them to do the same thing? So I'm wondering if some of the research that's being done could look at costing some of the good practices. And I was also thinking, for example, of how within that we could identify certain champions. So for example, another thing that came to my mind when I looked at early childhood education in terms of teacher preparation, but also initial teacher education. Zimbabwe, remains a champion, I think, in sub-Saharan Africa. And I was wondering how we could have a deep dive into what have they done, what are the little things that they have done that could support other countries to think around those areas, looking at it from a policy perspective, so a long-term policy perspective, but also a costing perspective. So looking at it from two angles to see how are they doing it in terms of policy, but also what is the cost. What are the costs that they incur to do that? And so I think it would be great if more of the activities or more of the policies were also seen from a policy perspective. So basically, in a nutshell, look at the research, the contextualized research, but also from a costing perspective, because I think that's very useful if the focal point persons can actually say, look, it costs this country this much to do this, to have, for example, to completely eliminate, for example, the special needs schools and to make them integrated, or things like that, that we are actually promoting in the hub, so that they can also promote them with their own policymakers at the higher level. Then in terms of what we're doing, so what major activities we're doing as an organization, we are delighted to also support and contribute to what the hub is also seeking. So looking at knowledge sharing through a number of our initiatives, and I can share more maybe in another call. But I think that's very aligned. That the issue of knowledge sharing, the issue of having peer support, but also of having examples from the continent, and in particular for us in school leadership, that we would like to share is something that I think the hub shares with us. But also we are looking at strengthening support to our government, our partners on foundational learning. So we'll be looking at supporting the scaling approaches, and that's something I think that is in common with the hub as well. Not necessarily for that field, but supporting governments to scale, giving more insights into the scaling processes, and also system strengthening. And yes, I think that's all I can say for now. I haven't gone into the details of the budget, and Shem did a great job in looking at also those other elements, but I thought I would give comments regarding just the plan per se. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anna. We really appreciate. We are taking notes, so it's very, very important, and we appreciate your feedback and thoughts, especially around the costing and the scaling of innovations and so on and so forth. I am just going to ask one more person who has just listened in, and that is Professor Betty Azati. Do you have any thoughts for us in terms of what you've just listened into? Then I'll hand over to Marianne.
Thank you very much. A lot said and a lot done. I would have loved, and maybe if it's me, wouldn't hear it, in 2023, there might have been clear goals and a lot was done. Did we achieve it all? There are some that we didn't do quite well that we think can roll over to 2024, especially if there are critical areas in strengthening members' education system. That didn't seem to come out so well, so that we see we see a flow from 2023 into 2024 in terms of the activities that would be planned to strengthen the education system. And having said that, I see a lot of alignment actually, because I think generally, I speak more for teacher education. I think generally countries are really looking for ways of strengthening teacher education. So I see if the country level efforts fitting into what is being planned, which is really good. And as the journey starts, building synergies around this would actually be quite important. And I think this conversation needs to continue with different countries. I like the research component, and if countries come on board with very, very clear themes that needs to be researched, especially those that will inform the practice in terms of, again, strengthening education, then 2024 goals that you've brought out very clearly will be achieved. I think that is all I can say for now. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you very much, Professor Betty. Exactly, we take note of the need for us to have, bridged from 2023, what was pending, and then how are we dealing with it in 2024. We are going to pay attention to that. We know that it's somewhere, but we are going to make sure that it's captured. And also, I've taken note of what Shem has posted in the chat concerning the areas of collaboration on teacher professional development, equity, equality, and so on and so forth, plus inclusion, EMIS, and other areas. I'm trying to move fast because of the time, but I truly appreciate and we're taking notes as much as we can. So let me hand over to Marianne in the remaining 27 minutes to lead us through the participant-driven discussions. And then after that, we'll hear from her again concerning the Pulse survey. Thank you very much. Over to Marianne.
Thank you so much, Victoria. And thank you so much to Shem, to Anna, and to Betty for those really keen comments. We're doing our best to take notes, and we will be reflecting on our plan now with feedback from you and from our focal points about how we might tweak something here and there and make it more responsive. So Gabriel, if you can go to the next slide, please. So this really is, I think, the most important part of the meeting today is where we'd like to hear from you, from our focal points, from our ministries, as we just heard from our technical advisors, about what kind of activities you think that we should be having this year. You've seen what we intend to do. We can go back to that slide if we need to as we're speaking, but we'd like to know how we can make our plan activities even more responsive to you. And so in this discussion right now for about 20 minutes, but also in a survey we're going to give at the end, we'd like you to tell us what are some of the main issues that you'll be addressing in 2024, especially in terms of your GPE Compact program. So the Partnership Compact process that you've either been engaging in and completing. We'd like to know what are some of the main issues that you'll be focusing on, and what kind of evidence, research, knowledge, tools, or learning opportunities do you think that you could use to support your work? Because GPE and KIX, we do similar, related, complementary work. And the purpose of the KIX project, this project, is that we would support the GPE Compact program through areas that maybe you don't otherwise have support, like for the exchange of ideas from person to person amongst yourselves right here in this hub. So exchange of ideas between people, learning opportunities, sort of like professional development courses. Those of us who are maybe teachers, or we've been teaching before, we know what it's like to go through professional development year after year, where we're constantly brushing up on our knowledge and our skills through different courses, through different communities of practice. And finally, what are the good practices that you would like to share with the Hub? So we just heard from Anna from VVOB about how it's important to talk about innovations and good practices between what's happening in maybe one country and how it can be maybe shared within the country, and also how much it costs that country to do it, that innovation, to do that good practice. So very interesting. Has there been something that you have done maybe that was especially effective that maybe you could share with the Hub this year, and even share how much it cost you to do it in your country? So I'd like to turn it over now to our wonderful focal points from our countries that are represented here today. I think we have Ethiopia, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Malawi, the Gambia, Rwanda, Somalia, and I hope I haven't missed any country. Please don't make me call on you. I'd rather if you would raise your hand and offer to share first. And I see now we have Uganda, and we also do have Eritrea. So apologies for not mentioning you before. And I see Mangobe Tempo has joined from Zambia. So I hope I got all of the countries, but I'd like if you could just maybe start by raising your hand or even just jumping in and turning on your microphone and share what are some of the main issues that you're addressing this year? What kind of knowledge or what kind of learning opportunities would you need to focus on that issue? And what are some good practices that you might want to share with other countries this year? So over to you, colleagues.
No?
Maybe I can
Yes,
start.
Petros, Ethiopia, go ahead.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Maria. This year, we are planning to have a teacher policy, which is very holistic in its nature, where teacher attraction, development, and attrition is there, including the leaders. So it's a document that could help us manage our education. I need, it's from UNESCO, this idea is coming. I'll attend a meeting before, so if it can experience sharing this regard, because one of strategies, the development strategy that I want to act on is on female leaders. It will be included in there. In my plan, five so this is development of this is my honor if UNESCO can help us by through expertise and, if necessary, sharing experiences from African countries with similar contexts like Uganda or so. And plus, we are strongly working on foundational level because we are in education poverty as well advanced age. And our national exam results has also shown that we are in a critical problem. So if this is the case, we discussed and we decided to work on foundational level, pre-primary education, ECD or ECCE. So we are developing strategy, and then we are left with implementation manual, training modules, big cascading trainings. And so if this is the case, we need support again on the implementation of the development of implementation manuals and TOT trainings. So we need to exploit the expertise of this hub. And plus, we want to share experiences of some other countries who are successful in this regard. Thanks so much, Marianne.
Thank you so much, Petros. And I'm aware that in the gender community of practice that you're part of, you specified in your action plan that you'd like to support your ministry's goal of increasing the number of female leaders in schools. So I'm aware of that. Petros, you've said a couple of different things here: teacher policies to guide and to improve the profession, increasing the numbers of female teachers. I think it'd be, I guess, more interesting for us now moving forward if we were to maybe see a concept note or a couple of distinct goals that maybe your ministry has. If you would like us to perhaps support you in having maybe like a dialogue or a connection with one other country. I think you mentioned a couple. I think this could be a good chance for us to work with you on this, because the theme of teacher professional development is very close to ICPA's heart. So we are working on this year with renewed focus under KIX phase 2. So let's continue to connect on this point, and let's see if other countries here today also are mentioning. Yes, go ahead.
We do have the strategic development plan at hand. We have a concept note. We have the proposal. We can share this all to your team so that you can evaluate it. You can help us improve even the working materials so that we can move to to the developments of these bigger documents that we want to implement in the system and scale. Thank you.
Sure, Petros, you're most welcome. So please send us what you have. And if you could specify where you think the hub might be able to come in when you send that to us, we'll be happy to take a look at it. And I'm aware that Eritrea also, Sarah Tekle was about to speak before, has been focusing on issues of retention for female teachers in the country. So maybe let's go with that same idea, Petros. Let's go now to Sarah. Can you hear me, Sarah? Do you want to go ahead now and speak a bit about these questions on the left?
Yes, thanks, Mariam, for the opportunity. Hi, Petros. For this year, as you all know, that we are applying for GP3, and one of the main issues that we want to address under GP3 is female teachers pilot program. I'm sure Jaji and yourself are aware of this because we at one point engaged you on how to scale this female teachers pilot. And in terms of evidence and what kind of evidence we would like to use, so far we, from the report that we have from our EMIS report 2022, the trend for female teachers in schools is, as we go from primary to elementary level, goes down. So we want to see how we can scale up on that number. And evidence shows that the impact of female teachers on girls' education really enhances the enrollment and retention and promotion of female students. So we are keen to see how we can use some good practices from the KIX Hub partners, and also if there are any policies that we'd like to us to share, we'd be happy, because we are trying to see how we can make a difference and also become impactful on this GP3. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for that. I know the last time that we spoke, there were some talks with UNESCO ICBA, with the African Union, and with your UNICEF office. The last time that we spoke, we were talking about maybe looking at the data that exists on female teachers in Eritrea, and maybe understanding the issue more deeply, and then beginning perhaps a study to really understand what are some of the drivers of female teacher retention and attrition. And maybe going beyond that, maybe connecting with other countries that have been working on programs to increase the share of female teachers, especially in challenging areas like maybe rural areas or low resource areas that are difficult for female teachers to thrive in. Okay, Sarah, I think what we needed to be doing, I'm just addressing you right now, with Eritrea, is to have a follow-up meeting, maybe with us, with KIX, the KIX team, the African Union, with UNESCO ICBA, and then with UNICEF, to speak with you about maybe some of the next steps that we might be doing with you this year, sort of following up from the discussions that began last year. And then maybe we can also identify a few countries that have been working on this issue. And last year, we did have a meeting, and that picture is captured in one of the previous slides. We had a meeting in which members from several countries, Lesotho, I think it was Nigeria, and Eswatini, yes, thank you. Shared some research with, yes, about how they have recently begun to research about teacher satisfaction in their countries. So this kind of research sharing is critical. So I think I would just want to open up the bottle, the cap on this, and then leave it open, because there's a lot that I think we can do this year. So I think we need to be having a meeting pretty soon in the next couple of weeks to follow up on the discussions that began last year with Eritrea. Maybe somebody else can come in now in the interest of time. I see a hand up, Ms. Sarah Bakosi, Madam Commissioner from Uganda. Please go ahead.
So much, Mariam, and sorry, first of all, I joined late. I had
internet issues, but I'm happy that I finally joined and I've been listening in. I want to appreciate and also say about the discussion that we have. Uganda as a country, what we are really looking at so much is the teacher policy. A lot is going on in the area of seeing that we revamp our teachers, we make the process better, get better teachers. And once we have the better quality teachers, then obviously the teaching learning processes will be better. And as you are aware, we worked on our policy. We have a number of reforms in the teaching profession. And these have been because of because we have learned from different countries according to what they have been able to do. Then also in Uganda, again, we had an opportunity to go to, we were sponsored by KIX. We went to Kenya, Nairobi for an exchange visit in the continuous, the CBC curriculum. I want to say we learned a lot, and where we are, that is the song we are putting in Uganda, as much as we had improved on our lower secondary curriculum, but with the coming of the GPE compact, which we are still also struggling with, one of the critical areas that we want to look at is the continuous based assessment for primary education, which we think is going to turn many things around, because already we are at secondary, and when we also now we also revamp the primary section, I believe things will be much better and our children will really be learning. Now, in the area of research, one thing that we've also learned is, many times we talk about things, but sometimes it's very difficult to take on what we've talked about because of lack of evidence, research. So as a country, we really need to be supported in the area of research, because there are so many things going around in our country. But if these do not hold the real evidence, then it becomes very difficult for the political leaders, for those who would take very good decisions, to take them. So that area is something that we would want to be strengthened in so much, so that we can come up with a number of research areas, and these will help us to inform policy, to inform funding, to inform so many things. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Sarah, for that. It's quite interesting. You've said a couple of things here. I think ending on that idea about strengthening research processes and research availability, this is really important, and this is really comes at the heart of what KIX is all about. Strengthening capacity to do research, and interest in doing research, quality of research, and then sharing of the research. So starting this year, we're going to be looking at providing some small grants for countries to carry out some short-term action-based research. So it's going to be sort of a pilot this year, in which we'll be doing it for the first time. These small grants for research. So let's keep this in mind. There might be an opportunity for that coming forward, but in an ongoing way, we're going to be supporting research strengthening. So given that we only have a few minutes left, let me stop talking and commenting on every single point, because I would love to discuss this with all of you, but I want this to be more of a back and forth between you all. So maybe we can invite someone else to speak, given that we have a little bit of time left. And if anybody wants to comment on what someone else has said, please do come in or raise your hand or unmute yourself. So back to the floor. Who would like to go next? Yes, Mr. Zambita, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much, Marian and the team. Happy New Year once again. I just wanted to register that I think the year that has passed was quite educative to Malawi. First, we were privileged to join the team that went to Kenya to learn on the best practices in as far as inclusive education is concerned. We learned quite a lot, and our Department of Inclusive Education is incorporating quite a lot of the things that we learned there to perfect the system or to improve the system here. I thought we should appreciate that one. And also to mention, just as you mentioned, that we hosted a number of countries. I think Zambia, Rwanda, is it South Sudan, and I've forgotten the other one, on gender-based violence. I think we had a very successful learning visit. We visited the schools, we visited the police that give us support. We even had interaction with the magistrates. There are structures that support the fight against gender-based violence. I think people learned quite a lot. And maybe to make a mention that should there be other countries that feel like coming to learn once again, we are ready to host them. Or should they want the Malawi team to go and possibly assist in one or two things? That's a service that is available. I also wanted to make a mention that in teacher development, there is one practice that the country Malawi is doing. We have a project that we are calling School Leadership Program. This one has come about because in Malawi, one of the priorities this time is foundational learning. We would want to strengthen foundational learning. But it has come to our realization that for us to achieve that, we need a vibrant school leadership. So there is a school leadership program where we are training head teachers, deputy head teachers, female section heads, primary school advisors, and school inspectors of schools. So the female section heads are being trained because it has come out, we've realized that we have more male and female heads and deputy heads. Now the thinking is if we can capacitate female section heads, it means in the subsequent interviews for headship, deputy headship, we should be able to get some females so that we strengthen that. Some of the things that are being taught, people management, how do they manage teachers? At times, teachers get frustrated because of poor management by their leadership. Record keeping, project management. Most schools get projects, but projects fail because they don't have project management skills. So they are being trained in those things. Inclusivity in education, all those are being trained. It's something that I think is smoothly run, and we are targeting a total of 10,000 people to be trained. Should people feel like just coming to appreciate what we are doing, they are welcome. Another thing I wanted to make a mention is Teachers Council. We didn't have a Teachers Council in Malawi. Last year, it was established, and it's now fully operational. They are now indexing teachers in colleges so that we already can know who are training for the post of teaching. And we are also registering those teachers who are already in the system, but they were not registered. We are also licensing them. It's a practice that we think possibly will put things in the right order to support teachers accordingly. If there are countries which have got a vibrant system, we are ready to learn from them. Finally, I'm sure time may not be on my side, but finally, I wanted to make a mention that in ECD, early childhood education is under the Ministry of Gender, but we've come to realize that we need collaboration with Ministry of Education. So this time around, we are working on an MOU which spells out what role shall Ministry of Education play and what role shall Ministry of Gender play. And it is hoped that when this one has been signed, we should have ECE centers in every primary school. That's the thinking, because for gender to be establishing their own centers, it may not be that simple. But the Ministry of Education already has primary schools almost every corner of the country. So the direction we are taking is that we should have ECE centers at every primary school. Upscale it, enhance it, strengthen it. We think by so doing, possibly the foundational learning that we are talking about will be strengthened and enhanced. I thought I could say that as a matter of indicating that I'm present and following the proceedings closely. Thank you very much, Marian and everyone.
Wow, thank you so much. So clear, so much here as well. I appreciate that. And I think there's a lot of connections to other countries. And I'm seeing some comments in the chat box. I'm following them. Ismail Abdi from Somalia has some comments. Ismail, would you like to come in and expound on any of them, or should we just take your comments and take a note of them? Or would you like to explain anything in particular, maybe anything different?
No, it's just that I just wanted to say that Somalia's education system is in the reconstruction phase. We are getting, I think, some help from partners, including UNESCO. They have helped us. I think we have partnered with them last year to develop not last year, actually, the previous year in 2022. Where we work together to develop the ESSP. And areas of priority now at the moment for the government is teacher development. In terms of priority, I think the government has put a lot of emphasis on teacher recruitment, teacher training, and also deployment in less of some areas, where I think there were no teaching force before. So in terms of also gender representation, we have a male-dominated teaching force, and I think the government is now, the ministry is now putting some emphasis on female teacher recruitment. And also, we are also putting emphasis on teacher training institutes, where we have actually putting emphasis on teacher educators to train more teachers. So I think we have a lot of work on our tray at the moment, and we look forward, I think, to learning from KIX. I could see some of the presentations were very good, and I will look at it during my free time. And I would like to say thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much.
Ismail, thank you very much for that. And I appreciate that you put your notes in the chat box for all of us to see. Colleagues, we just have a little bit more time. Maybe we can ask for a couple more to speak, and then maybe two more. And then we will share a survey link with you. We would love to take your further thoughts on this through the survey. It's very important to actually hear what you're working on this year and what kind of experiences you have at the hub last year through the survey. So if I could just take maybe two more countries right now.
Yes, hello.
Anybody want to volunteer? Yes,
Yes,
Emmanuel, please.
Yes, yes. On behalf of the Ministry of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, and on my own behalf, I want to register our thanks and appreciation to UNESCO IRCBA for creating this opportunity for focal points to participate in this meeting. Of course, for Sierra Leone, we have benefited as a country very much from KIX, from the first symposium that was organized in Ethiopia, followed by the inception meeting and the second symposium meeting in Abidjan. We learned a lot with our participation, and back home, we are able to inform our government, our ministry, on some of the key issues that we are discussed in Abidjan. And the outcome of our discussions in Abidjan paved very strong ways to our ministry in organizing programs such as the teacher professional development, ensuring that out of the 18,000 teachers that we have in Sierra Leone, we have about 35% that are not on government payroll, and most of these are paid from the subsidy that is provided by government. So government has put in place a system where these teachers will be trained from time to time with support from World Bank, with support from other partners, non-governmental organizations. But I've also realized that we have to pay much attention to the development of our teachers, because without good teachers in the schools, it will be very difficult for a nation to produce good students. So what government has also done is to ensure that this year, government has embarked on giving licenses to teachers. So that process has commenced. It has to take some time, but it is good for our teachers to be licensed. Like all other professions, we go to the health sector, we have our nurses, our medical people with license. So government is giving license to teachers commencing this 2024. Of course, Sierra Leone has also got some funding from the GPE to implement the foundation and learning project, which is about 49 million US dollars. It's a 5-year that will commence this year. I would also like to inform you that we are not able to organize, as a nation, we are not able to organize the policy dialogue as proposed initially, because the timing was not very much in our favor, because we had other programs. For instance, we had the Education Week, which we normally do at the end of the year. So that one took us so much time that we were not able to have the policy dialogue. But from the timetable I saw, from the programs I saw for this year, I realized that we still have space for policy dialogues to be organized. So Sierra Leone will be very much interested in organizing policy dialogue this year. And we look forward to your support. In terms of research, we'll be very much interested in doing research, more especially on data, teacher data, and as well as issues relating to resources that are being spent in education financing, because government is finding it a little difficult to actually finance some of the projects. So we look forward to KIX in organizing activities that will be part of, so that the learning exchanges, the experiences we'll get from other countries will help us so much in doing our education programs. I thank you very much for organizing this meeting today.
Emmanuel, thank you so much for that. And the call is open. If you'd like to have a national policy dialogue this year, if you'd like to resume that planning, you can send us your concept note focusing on the theme and the date, and we'll look at that and we'll talk with you about doing that. Mangobe Tembo, would you like to go next? And this would be our last person right now. The rest will take your thoughts on the country pulse survey that we'll give in a moment. So please, Mr. Tembo, over to you.
Thank you so very much, Marian, for the wonderful time. And thank you so very much for everyone who is joining this meeting. Happy New Year to everyone else. Marian, I think from Zambia, I want to commend KIX. I think the job that KIX is doing to the regions as well as to our respective countries cannot be overemphasized. It's a wonderful job, and I would like to say that the dialogue meeting that we hosted in Zambia was so overwhelming, and we didn't even know that there was such kind of reach of information coming from our researchers in the universities and other places. There's so much talent, there's so much research, there's so much information that is lying idle in the universities that can be used to do our policy, to make decisions in our countries. And for Zambia, I was so surprised to look at the reach of information that we had. The number of people, the number of researchers who wanted to present to that policy dialogue was so overwhelming that was even difficult for us to ensure that we even choose the few to do the presentations. So I think it was an eye-opener for us, and we have taken it that as government we have to be holding those policy dialogue meetings in different topics and different research topics, so that we continue upscaling the information that comes out from from our respective parts of our education system. I think this is very good, and we appreciate it so very much. I know there could have been one or two, but those issues are not really very pertinent to concentrate on. But I think what was most important was to see the rich information coming out from our researchers. Of course, Zambia is doing a lot. We have got so many things to share as a country with the change of government. I think we have got so much on board. There's free education being given in Zambia, from primary education, from ECE to secondary education. The domestic financing is increasing in the positive direction from 11.8. We're now at 15.8 of the domestic financing, total domestic budget, and so on and so forth. And in the teaching profession of Zambia, I think we've been almost a decade old in it, and so on and so forth. I think we're doing so very much in Zambia, and I really want to thank what KIX is doing. The meeting we are attending from the hubs are giving us so much information. So first to mention that whenever we receive all types of meetings that we're calling for, I'm busy engaging other staff. When we send a link for gender, I'm giving a gender person to attend. When we send a link for EC, I'm giving an EC person to attend, to ensure that information goes spread and the technocrats in those fields are fully involved. And I can say that I think the coordination part of the KIX in the country is moving quite at a good pace. So sometimes you might say that the meeting has been called. I'm not in present per se, but there could be a person responsible for that topic, responsible for that issue in the ministry, attending and doing the needful. I think with these few remarks, I can stop here. But thank you so very much for this meeting, and we continue waiting for more information and more innovativeness coming within us and from KIX as well. Thank you. Over to you, Marian.
Thank you so much, Mangombe. That's really great to hear. Maybe we have time to squeeze in one more person. I just saw a comment from David from Mozambique. We usually don't get a chance to hear from Mozambique every time, so maybe we can give David a chance. David, you're mentioning about the National Framework for Teacher Professional Standards and Competencies. Would you like to quickly elaborate on what you'll be focusing on this year and why it's important for you?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay, thank you very much. I've been trying the first part of the meeting, but I couldn't. Well, we've been working on the first part of this document was designed and finished in 2022, which is the teachers' policy. So the implementation of this teachers' policy it's wide, broad. There are many instruments, many documents that must be designed through. As a part of this, we can consider a big document to our country, and this is very important. Then we have started with the national teachers competence and the framework. So we are working on this framework where we're looking at what are the main competencies of teachers, and looking at this framework, we want to have a document where we have the professional standards of teachers. I can say this document is almost done. It's been revising. We were recommended we've been recommended different things to read to enhance the document, but that's all that is almost finished. And for this year, we'll be focusing on the implementation strategy, because with this implementation strategy, we go nowhere. So our focusing from this March, we are going to work on all the recommendation we had from expertise from Finland, and we will be working on our one to finish and have this implementation strategy. That's what I had to say at the moment, and thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, David, for that. David, we're going to be putting out a survey right now. If you could maybe take that chance to even tell us a little bit more about certain areas of the teacher policy and the standards and your next steps, I think it'd be great to hear from you. I think it'd be really great to connect with Mozambique on this, because we have been wanting to strengthen that connection for some time now. And with this being the theme for KIX 2, for ICPA's theme, this teacher standards and teacher development, there's a strong link there. So colleagues, can we go to the next slide, please? I just want to introduce the survey we'll be taking starting from today. You'll have about 10 days to take the survey. We take it at the beginning of every year to inform our activities for the year, but also beyond that, our activities for the next couple of years too, since even now I can say that we go back to survey data from 2022 to look at how we should look at 2024. So it's really important to give your voice in this process. So this is a short, not so short, but not too long survey. You need about 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most to take it. And you'll be sharing about your experience and your perspective on the hub as it happened last year for you, and also what you would like support on for this year. So that's important so that we can plan our activities for the year. Maybe I can, or Gabriel, one of us can share our screen for just 1 minute to show you what the form looks like so that you know that you've clicked on the right link. If you can do that, Gabriel, that'd be great. Thank you.
Sure, Marianne.
Okay, so it's called the Country Representative Pulse Survey. It's the pulse because it's like we're taking your pulse to see how you feel and to see how well you are in the hub, and if there's anything we can do to maybe correct or medicate or fix anything. So it's really getting a feel for your pulse. So there's just 3 parts to the survey. We don't need to look at all the questions, but this is the link that you'll be getting in just a few minutes, and you'll have to share, of course, your country, not your name, just so that we know which country is affiliated with which questions. Now, you can't see the next questions because you have to fill out the form to take it. But it'll take about 10 minutes of your time, and we'll share the link right now in the chat box. And colleagues, I want to just thank you for the great discussion and then pass it over to Victoria to maybe wrap up the meeting for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marianne. It's been quite an interesting day and afternoon. And thank you so much, colleagues, for staying on up to 15 minutes beyond the time. We really apologize for going extra, but we appreciate the feedback and comments. We are not able to respond back to some of the things that you've raised, but we are going to be working on that. And then we shall get back to you with the improvements. So on behalf of the consortium partners, that is UNESCO ICBA, African Union, IPED, and UNICEF SRO, we truly want to thank you very much for all the feedback. Thanks to our regional advisory team. Thanks to the focal points that were with us today. And we really thank you and wish you all the best for the rest of the evening if you're in East Africa. And then the rest of the afternoon for those that are in West Africa. Don't forget to fill in the Pulse survey. It's very, very important for us to make sure that we address the issues raised. And for teacher policy, we'll be able to support. And I remember, I think I participated in the Mozambique work regarding the development of the policy. So we are able to support you, Ethiopia, and others that need help. Thank you very much and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.
Victoria, should we take a group picture before everyone logs off?
Yeah, by the way, that would be good. Thank you. We can turn on our cameras, right? Those who are still, if you can still afford to smile. It's a long day, that would be nice. I'm having this rays in the sun. I don't know what's gonna happen, but anyway. Okay, a few more people that are able to dare smile and put on their cameras. Awesome. Okay, I think we can do it. Oh yeah, Christoph is there. Very, very nice. Amina, Sarah. All right. Marianne, we are good to go. Over to you.
Okay, I captured a few shots. Oh, now one more person. One more. Let's take one more picture.
You have to want us to smile. Otherwise, we can't sustain these smiles. Please. So that we look better. Okay.
Everyone looks great from my end. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you, colleagues. Bye-bye. See you soon.
All right.
Virtually and physically. Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you, Victoria, everyone. Take care. Bye.
We are going to share the PowerPoint presentation with you
Yes.
guys.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye.
definitely.